Yes, archaeology. Get out of there, Dan.
Alrighty. There we go. Oh my god, after an hour, we're live.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm busy trying to share this out.
Yeah.
Your microphone's way over there.
Is it?
Richie, fix your microphone.
Oh, it is? Oh, whoops.
Yeah. So you'd think we'd never done this before out of, how many? 70 plus episodes?
That's true.
Yeah. So.
Uh-oh.
All right, so what do we got?
Well,
You're paying attention over there.
I am. I can't help it.
Let me go ahead and start by talking about, and sorry guys, Richie went live sooner than I thought he was. So I'm trying to play some catch up here. Anyway, yeah, so.
Oh, 3 viewers already.
Well, there you go. I want to talk about digital archaeology and the field of archaeology.
True.
Okay. I've been getting, admittedly quite frustrated at the field of archaeology lately. And there's two reasons for that. One is I've spent 10 years this year trying to promote digital archaeology to people. Okay. And honestly, these mics do not sound good.
They don't?
No, they don't sound great. It doesn't sound like the mics are being used, but I think they are.
Wait
anyway.
a second. Uh-oh.
So anyway, where'd you figure that out? Digital archaeology is always kind of an issue with me because, I've been trying to promote it for 10 years now since I got my first iPad, which will be 10 years in April. And I've known that this is where the future is going. All other fields you look at, they're all digital. They've all done that. And yet still there's a massive reluctance from the field in general to go with third-party software for their digital recording needs. Now, some big companies have actually decided to produce their own applications. And in fact, I heard of one. One of our hosts went to the ACRA conference, the American Cultural Resources Association.
That, actually.
And he said there's a company that spent over 100, 6 figures on developing an application. And, my thought is, okay, sure they did that. What do they do about updates? Do they have developers on staff? Do they have a retainer for a development company? That's ongoing maintenance. Why would you pay for that versus having somebody create an application that knows what they're doing and then can service the entire industry? So.
Well, the way I look at it is that the dude who just invented the laser printer just died.
Yeah.
And his boss at Xerox threatened to fire him and his entire team. And after, I think it was when he eventually went on to work for Microsoft and then Apple. And while he was working at Apple, he said, for every good idea, there's at least one person who thinks it's a bad idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
obviously there are plenty of people who think that, how can I put this? There are going to be plenty of people who think it's a great idea to develop their own app and don't see the whole long-term view.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Does anyone, way back in the 80s when Apple first came out with the Mac OS, not the Mac OS. Yeah, the Mac OS.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of companies tried to come out with their own graphical user interface style program. So literally, you buy a new computer, buy it from Gateway, you buy it from Tandy, whatever. They came with like Tandy, Tandy OS and whatnot.
Sure.
But then eventually everyone just settled on Windows or Mac. Because obviously it's stupid to make your own. You're reinventing the wheel.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's it's I don't know. It's such a weird thing because to me it's a math equation. If it's effective for you from a financial standpoint to buy something, use it, and then save money in the long run, at some point you're going to equalize where you're like, this is the new normal.
Yeah.
I'm spending this money to do this thing. And in some cases, we don't see that equalization as a benefit, right? We don't. We look at it as another cost, a line item. We forget how much money it's saving us. For example, let's look at rent. A lot of companies rent an office space or they lease an office space, right? They usually don't own the office building. They're leasing that space. But that line item is beneficial to them because they don't have to worry about anything. Somebody else is taking care of maintenance. Somebody else is taking care of the big issues, right? And they're okay paying that. Now, another company, when they get big enough, they might say, well, let's just go build our own building. and then do that. These are the big engineering firms I'm talking about.
True.
They might say, let's do this, but didn't Far Western build a big building?
Yeah.
So
But they're Far Western.
Exactly. But see, they saw the benefit. They didn't want to pay that line on them anymore. They saw the
Yeah.
benefit in owning their own space, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with digital archaeology is people look at whatever application they're paying for, and I tell you what, if companies could come up with a way to replace ArcGIS from Esri on their own by building their own,
Yeah.
even though it's already been done, it's open source and it's called QGIS. But
Yeah.
anyway, if they could do that, then I think they would.
And it's interesting because isn't QGIS, isn't that the dominant program that's used outside of the States? I might be wrong.
I don't know if it's a dominant one, but I know it's used by a lot of people outside the States.
Yeah, because mean, it has all the same functionality, especially now with the newest updates.
Yeah.
By the way, are we sounding better?
We sound the same. We're definitely not coming through the live stream on the microphones.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Because according to OBS, we are pretty hot. Right? We're also too hot.
I don't know. Well, we're not going to dwell on it too much. It just doesn't sound right. Now, if you want to hear the replay of this or the better audio version, it will be on the Archaeology Show podcast on Saturday, whatever day that is, the 25th of January. So, and I believe that will be episode 83 of the Archaeology Show.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just, like I said, I've been really disheartened by the whole process.
Yeah.
It really frustrates me where we're at. And then not only that, but I don't want this to be a whole BS session here on the You Call This Archaeology, but the other thing that's really been getting me down is the negativity online and primarily Facebook. True. And a lot of it's based around, well, just normal stuff, but a lot of it's based around the new, which we've already talked about, but the RPA announcement. They came out officially with their requirements for what it takes to be a registered archaeologist versus an RPA. And the one thing in there that I think is kind of weird is an RA is, and I think this might be just a typo on their part, maybe it's not, I don't know, but RPA went up to $95. It used to be $65, I think, because I think that's what I just paid to renew my dues. And RA is $99. So it's actually $4 more for a lower position, basically, for lack of a better way to phrase that.
Yeah.
A lot of the other requirements are going to be the same, except for some particulars. But yeah, but the thing that's really getting me down, though, is the way people are talking about it. They don't see the benefit in having us organize because we don't have any other way to organize. We don't. Sure, the RPA itself might be.
Yeah.
Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the RPA is a bit toothless right now.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a club where you can just put letters after your name and it doesn't really mean anything. But I think what people are missing is the long-term benefits of being able to say we're all in this together and then using this group of people to organize and do something beneficial for the field. Nobody's looking at that.
Thing is, you need to bring attention to the issue first. You even need to acknowledge there's an issue before it. So the whole idea, basically, I feel like what they want is perfection. If that makes any sense. Like they want like a prepackaged thing that's like completely perfect.
Yeah.
And perfect now and is like completely, is very effective and is well funded and is professional and everything,
Yeah.
And when you're trying to start out, I mean, we have to have our Rosa Parks on the bus. Starting with one lady on the bus. It's just like,
wrong.
You don't end up with Martin Luther King, and start there and then end up, with Rosa Parks. You go the other way.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do know what you're talking about because, I've been following a bunch of chatter on Facebook about it, and it is depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very depressing. I don't get it, honestly. Are people just bound and determined to sabotage everything in this field? Like, instead of the thing I like to do when I'm working with people, and I do this a lot in my Civil Air Patrol Squadron and
wow, we got 14 viewers, by the way. Hello,
nice.
Wow, that's the most we've ever had, isn't
hey, everybody.
it?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, but it's pretty high. It's definitely on the high end.
Wow.
Please write a comment wherever you're seeing this. I've shared it to a bunch of groups.
Yeah.
Write a comment so we can see it in the stream and let us know you're there. Give us a like, something like that. But ask us a question. Tell me your frustrations.
Oh, by the way, I got the right title up now.
Nice.
Hold on. Let's see. Description data. I'm gonna play. Let's see. Talk all the RPA stuff.
Anyway, so it's and apologies. This is a live show, so there's very little editing that I do on this. I really just go in and drop the ads in. And if you want to hear this ad free on the APN, you can go to arcpodnet.com/members.
True.
Join. You get our early downloads page.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I was really impressed when I was listening lately, and it's like, wow, we now have an ad manager.
Yeah.
Or an advertising manager.
We do have an advertising manager. Her name is Madison.
Yeah.
She's our first paid employee.
Wow.
Well, kind of. I was paying you for a while to edit. She's basically getting paid like you were. Wow, I totally forgot about that until I just said that now.
Oh, you know what's interesting? I mean, not to get completely off track, even though we do that a lot in this show. But
I think we should rename the show to Completely Off Track.
I know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we were talking about DaVinci Resolve before we got here, which is the new video editing program I used.
Yeah.
And I think that's really impressive about it is that A, it's free, and B, it comes with all the audio tools. Because obviously, if you use Premiere Pro, you have to like open up Audition, then you have to open up Photoshop. The crazy part is that it's basically got Audition built in, which is crazy. Like the audio tools were insane, and I wouldn't have known how to use that if I didn't edit.
Nice.
Really,
nice.
Like I wouldn't know what a de-esser was or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy.
Yeah.
Like the sophistication you're getting for a free program, even though, my God, it takes up so much computer resources. Like I'm not even joking.
Well, any good program is going to.
Yeah,
so.
Especially this one. Oh my God. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so...
we just lost 2 viewers while I was
I know, right? Well, that's what happens when we go away.
I know.
Anyway, back to some of the stuff. In fact, I shared this recording actually this live presentation to a couple of the groups that I'm referring to here.
Cool.
And I just, again, when I talk to people, say, in the Civil Air Patrol, and they come up to me and say, hey, this is broken, we need to fix this, we need to do that, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Give me a solution.
Yeah.
Because if you see a problem, I want the solution. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Nobody has all the answers. But
the RPA doesn't have all the answers.
Literally nobody has all the answers.
Yeah.
And so when I say, if we see problems, let's try to come up with solutions to fix them. And then understand that there's probably nobody that's going to jump up and say, hey, I'm going to take on this massive responsibility and do this. So if you're not willing to do it and nobody else is willing to do it, it's simply not going to get done. And sometimes you just have to stand up and say, I want to fix the situation.
Yeah.
And I feel guilty saying that because I'm getting all these texts from the Democratic Party and their different candidates, representatives saying, hey, we're canvassing in your area. Do you want to help? Do you want to do this thing? And I'm like, listen, I'd love to, but I simply don't have the time. And I'm just being part of the problem by saying I don't have the time.
You know what the crazy part is? Now they're starting to call me.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, because I was originally thinking that was because originally I was waiting to pick up my computer, which I now have to drop back off again.
Yeah.
And it was someone from the Bernie Sanders campaign, and I'm like, like, I don't want to, like, who are you voting for? Why are you voting for that person? Why don't you know who you're voting for? Blah, blah, and then I just hung up. I felt kind of guilty, but that's like, I am going to vote, like,
right.
But you're not really going to, what can you tell me over the phone that, you're already telling me stuff over the phone that I'm ignoring and all those mailers I'm getting.
Yeah. I know. I again, if you want to make any change in this world, whether it's archaeology or politics or whatever, you have to participate.
Yeah.
I'll vote, but I just don't feel like I have the passion for this to get into politics and to get into going door to door and doing whatever they're doing.
Think about how long the suffragists were working to like get anything working. Like I mean. Oh God, like who was it? KDB Stanton?
I don't remember.
Or oh God, I always forget their names. God damn it,
I don't even know.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully, people out there know what I'm talking about. Like, but they were like starting for women's rights in like what, the 1850s, 60s, something, and it took like how long to get the vote?
Long time.
And like the Equal Rights Amendment still isn't passed. They're trying to pass it again.
Sure.
It's like so basically it's more than 100 years.
Right.
Almost 150 years.
Yeah.
And yet, people are like, well, the RPA isn't perfect, therefore I don't want to do anything, and I want them to do anything. I want them to go away. I want everyone to just go away. It's like, if we don't start somewhere, nothing will ever get done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things I keep seeing is that people, like, on some of these Facebook groups, they're talking about, they're saying, well, this is useless. Well, then is anyone offering up an alternative?
Nobody is.
Yeah.
They just look at it as another expense, another thing in a useless enterprise, and they're really not looking at the big picture. And I think one of the big problems for me is I've seen more than a few people say $99 a year is too much money, that they can't afford it. We're shovel bums, we can't afford it. And I was like, listen,
$8 a month.
Yeah, I was like, it's less money than your Netflix subscription. It's less than your Hulu subscription. It's less than your Amazon Prime subscription.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're paying for one of those.
And if you're still a smoker, that's like less than a pack of cigarettes.
Right? Yeah. And let's put it in other terms. It's less than if on every 10-day session for the year,
Yeah.
maybe every 2 weeks if you work Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
If you go out and have 2 beers with your colleagues once a month,
Yeah.
chances are you're doing it more often than that.
Yeah.
But that's the equivalent cost.
Oh, by the way, I just learned something Friday that'll blow your mind.
What's that?
At Death and Taxes, which is a massively overpriced hipster bar in town,
Yeah.
I heard an unofficial rumor that they sell a shot of Japanese whiskey for $600.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So
I mean, that blew my mind because, like, I was at Chapel and they're like, yeah, but we offer it for $300. And I'm like, wow, that's a great savings.
yeah, who's buying that? So,
Apparently, people are. Like, they
Yeah.
sell enough of it.
anyway, I guess you get your high rollers. They make a lot of money and they want to go spend it. Yeah, might as well offer it.
Speaking of high rollers, even though this is almost on topic, it's like, remember when we went to that mid-century thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who was it? Harrah's was just sold, and they're going to turn it into a like a city center. I don't even know what that means. Like a city center project.
I've heard there could be a grocery store, condos, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is downtown Reno, everybody.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting that people are like lamenting the fact that Reno should. I mean, they're like still talking like it's the 50s, and like people are still coming here to do the penny slots.
I know things are changing.
Yeah.
The non-gaming casinos are getting big. This goes back to something else I saw in one of our groups. It's that reverence that we have for history.
Yeah.
Now, as an archaeologist, I see the benefit of studying and learning from history.
Yes.
But having this reverence for history and this need to not want to change it and to focus on a particular point in a historical past and say that's the point at which we want to define this, because that mid-century modern group in Reno, they see the 50s as like the glory days of Reno, and they want to bring back the signs and the neon and all the other stuff that kind of help define Reno in their eyes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that only did that is because of, first off, historic I-40 came through here. It was kind of like the Route 66 of the North.
True.
A lot of people came through, and so these roadside motels were pretty popular for that.
Yeah.
But in the end, they were just roadside roach motels. They're still roadside roach motels.
Yeah.
And people are just nostalgic for this old time frame. And really, to kind of put this on a point, I saw this picture, and you may have seen it too. I think it was in the Archaeo Field Tips group.
Oh.
But it was this guy, this artist, that took a Ming Dynasty vase.
Yeah.
And his art was basically taking rapid photography of it. And it was, the first image was him holding it, and the next one was it halfway down.
Yeah.
And the third one was it crashing to the floor. And his point was, there were a million of these.
Yeah.
Back in that time frame, it was the equivalent of buying a flower pot at Kmart. It's total garbage, and yet now it's something that we revere.
Well, the thing is, that's why there's criterion A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to preserve everything, but
Right.
if it's associated with like an important event or a
Sure.
important person, like I don't think you tear down the motel where Martin Luther King was shot.
Sure.
There's stuff like that, but also
why not?
What?
Why not? He was shot there. He didn't do his great work there. Who cares where he died?
Yeah.
We have a whole day coming up tomorrow where we celebrate him. Do we need the old hotel where he was killed to be existing?
It depends.
Let's put a Starbucks on the grassy knoll while we're at it.
Well, it depends though, because obviously not being African American, I can't I can't pretend to be how it feels to me.
Sure.
So it might be something super
good
sacred
point.
to them, kind of like Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
But it does bring me on a side note thingy, sort of a side note, because how many archaeologists do we know who love walking and doing the survey and doing the shovel testing, and once they find a thing, that's like the only thing they care about. They don't care about recording it. They don't care about doing a good job of photographing it.
Yeah.
They don't care about measuring precisely. They only care about finding it.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this in a video, my October video, where it's just like the whole job of archaeology isn't just to find things. It is to find things, but it's to get stuff recorded and in the record. Otherwise, why are you finding them?
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just looters. Like the whole point is to is to gather data about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's I don't understand it.
Because
really
I mean,
don't
how many people do we know who they just like doing the digging, but once the paperwork starts, they're like, you can do the paperwork or you can do the screening.
Yeah, those are. I mean, I hate to say it, but those are your field techs.
I know.
Your field techs that have no interest in moving up. They just want to be out there and digging. There's a certain type of archaeologist out there that just likes being in the field and likes that field persona.
Yeah.
And they don't really they don't either have an interest or care about the science behind it. Now there is a science to the excavation phase of things, to the survey phase of things.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's like they just want to be in the field, which I get. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's a different type of person, right?
Well, see, I feel like I'm the third sort of person who, you know, I don't want to move up because of my interests are different.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I don't want to be writing endless reports and crap.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
yeah,
like Facebook ran me the other day, you know, of when I got stuck in front of a computer and suddenly you're the graphic designer now. Project I was like digitizing soil profiles, and now this is fun to me.
Sure.
You know, just like the reason why, you know, for people who might not realize it, my upload schedule for Happy Archaeology Fun Time is now going to be twice a month. Basically, I've got enough videos like in the hopper through July. And if I ever get my damn computer back, and you know my desktop back and repaired, I have enough video, like, you know, sitting in my NAS server to like through October now, and then, you know, at least 2 more videos. So basically, I've got my whole year almost done.
Nice.
Woo!
Nice.
And you might notice that starting in maybe June or July, my video quality will go way up.
Well, that's good.
Well, not like the video quality, but just because it's very difficult to describe. It's kind of like when someone finds Apple after, you know, when someone like finds like Apple or something. You know, when I found DaVinci Resolve, the editing process was a lot more fun for me, and the videos are consequently going to go way up. And
nice.
And because, you know, before I've been doing what you do for a podcast, which is like, you know, I make a template and I just drop it in and minimal work. But now I don't use a template with DaVinci Resolve. I've just been because it's optimized for speed, so I've just been editing.
Nice.
So now all the videos, and I've been taking B-roll and everything.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Like the video I really, what was it, Wednesday? I went out with my phone. It was just like, you know, shooting a video, which is really crazy when you think about it. Because I mean, think about it. When I first started doing YouTube videos, I mean, I wish I had taken a photo of myself then, but like the rigs and stuff I was carrying, you know, to like try to film myself is crazy. And now I just like carry it on my phone.
Yeah.
Although, I will admit, the reason why I bought the GoPros, I can only get, when I'm doing my running, and I got my GPS and my Bluetooth and my running app, and my podcasting app going, I get about 3 or 4 minutes of video. You know, so that's why I bought the GoPros. That way, you know, I can actually record
nice,
when out running.
Nice.
And more importantly, when I'm actually out in the field.
Right.
Like I found a special GoPro app that'll clamp onto my my field vest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
Well, hey, let's take a break real quick for the audience that is listening to this recording on the Archaeology Show, and we will be right back.
Woo.
Okay, so if you're on the live stream, you're not hearing the ads that are going on right now.
Yes.
But also, if you want to listen to the recording of this, arcpodnet.com/members, and you can get the free for the download, the early download without the ads, basically. Yeah. So. All right, so I'm going to bring it back in for the recorded audience. They're not going to hear any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Archaeology Show, episode 83, and this is an unedited recording of the You Call This Archaeology Show that shows up live on Facebook.com/ArcPodNet, but also a couple other places now.
Yeah, now on Twitch. Let's see, The Man in the Hat is my Twitch channel, and Happy Archaeology Fun Time YouTube channel.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, I didn't want... I was saying that I didn't want to forget about this, but I totally did. Basically, you know, I'm not sure how much you pay attention to CES.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of videos from CNET about that.
But the crazy... I mean, did you see any of those folding laptops they came out
did.
with? I mean, I was thinking about it, because I remember several years ago, I was thinking, well, you know, was it... they renamed the iPad OS to whatever it is now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was thinking that's going to become more like Mac OS, and they're just going to merge.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking they're just going to make now I'm just thinking like there's going to make laptops basically tablets at the rate they're going.
Well, that's where it is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think laptops are going to go away entirely as the processing power of a tablet becomes higher, because tablets are where it's going to be.
Well, I mean, the form factor is going to be a tablet, but it's not necessarily going to be tablet architecture, if that makes any sense. You know, like
no, you're right. It's going to have laptop power in a tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a Microsoft Surface has now, except thinner.
Yeah.
You know, Microsoft Surfaces are pretty amazing devices.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the new Lenovo device? It basically folds into the size of a really thick Kindle.
Yeah.
You know, and you just stick it in your pocket. And it's like, that's so amazing to me.
Well, here's where I think things are ultimately going to go. I think we're going to start with, because folding laptops are actually not new. I mean, they've been around like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
but they're just getting thinner and more capable of what they do, right?
And they're full screens.
And they're full screen, yeah. So, but I think where we're going to go, because I also saw a couple more folding phones on at CES.
Yeah.
With the screen that folds in half,
Yeah.
And a lot of those, you open it up and you've got the full screen, but then you can also close it or close it around on itself, and you've got a screen on either side, and
Yeah.
you've just got all these capabilities. So you've got a phone and like a small tablet all in one.
Yeah.
But I think where we're going to go is the thinner those get. I think we're just going to have any size of screen that we want. Everything from this 7-inch laptop screen here, where I can just like fold it once and then fold it again, and I've got a phone, or a phone-sized device. That's the other thing I heard at CES is, what are we going to call these things? Because phones aren't phones anymore.
No.
They
haven't
when
been
phones
forever.
when phones become something that you just plug into a docking station and it runs your entire computer system, like you wake up in the morning. You pull your phone out, you plug it into your kitchen, it runs all your stuff in your kitchen. You pull that out, you plug it into your car, it runs all the things in your car. You pull that out, you get to the office, and you plug it in, and it controls into everything in your computer in your office.
I mean, they already cost as much as a laptop anyway.
I know. So the only thing limiting the ability to do that is A, the world isn't ready for it, so nobody's creating that kind of stuff. They could now.
Yeah.
But B, I think the processing power is still a little bit underpowered for most of those things, because they need to beef up the ability to handle complex procedures. Otherwise, some people are still going to need a computer, like video editing and stuff like that.
Well, the thing is, it's not necessarily you got the technology to beef it up. It's the cooling, and the durability and the battery power.
Well, like cooling is really just, I mean, it's partly about cooling, I think, but it's more about finding components that need less cooling.
Yeah.
Like look at the old tubes from 30 years ago. Those things needed massive amounts of cooling.
Yeah.
But now the new transistors, I say new, they're still 40 years old, but transistors and microchips, sure, they need cooling, but they need way less than they did before.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're talking in the wrong audience as far as archaeologists go.
Well, I'm not sure if we are, because a lot of these advancements that we're talking about here will trickle down to archaeology.
Yeah, in like 10 years.
Well, maybe even 40.
After.
Yeah, I'll probably be dead.
Well,
because I'll have killed myself thinking about archaeology and digital.
Because it reminds me of something. I was listening to Jordan Harbinger this week, I think.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday, where he was talking to this guy, this filmmaker. I don't know if you're sure he's a filmmaker or a director of photography, but basically, he was talking about how he found this lost city in the jungle.
Right.
And he was using LiDAR, and he was talking about the archaeologists and how they were so backwards and hardly anyone knew about LiDAR or anything. And I was thinking, wow, how long ago was this? Because originally when I was listening to it, I was thinking, wow, he must have found the city in the 80s or the 90s or something.
Right.
And you know what? Guess what year he found the city?
What year?
2012.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he was talking about how backwards archaeologists were and how they didn't know anything about technology. And I'm like, that sounds about right to me.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, so by that rate, because, you were talking on the Last Theorem Archaeology podcast, the one I think that's out now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, about the slow rate of adoption the relatively slow rate of adoption of digital technology.
Right.
How a lot of people, because think about it, a lot of people are going to take these new laptops that are now fold out, and they're just going to give them to people, and they're just going to start writing stuff on, like, fillable PDFs.
Yeah.
Just like they've done for, like, the past 10 years.
Dude, I just saw a question from somebody.
Yeah?
I can't even get into the particulars of it because I'm not sure I'm supposed to, but I saw a question from a developer, not a developer, a person who works with a developer. And it wasn't Wild Note if people are thinking that, but I saw a question where somebody said, can we extract data from a fillable PDF?
No.
And I about threw my computer against the wall.
No.
They weren't asking me. I was just following this conversation on another medium. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are we still there?
Yes.
Are we still talking about this?
Yes.
I was like, first off, the answer is no. You can't pull anything from a fillable PDF because once they're filled and then saved, a lot of times they can't even be edited anymore. No. I mean, if you open it in like very expensive Adobe Acrobat and you're paying for it, yes, maybe you can open it back up.
Well, you can't open it back up, but the thing is, there's no metadata. Therefore, it's just a meaningless, it's basically just a photo.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what you're doing, because on one of the monitoring projects I was doing, like, my boss wanted me to drive and, like, print out like the field monitoring horn.
Sure.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, do you realize that Bishop is like an hour drive away and then I have to drive back? So what I did was I just made copies of the form she sent and just was like, because I had a PDF program that just, and my, this laptop right here as is pen enabled.
Yeah.
So I just fill it out like as a paper form and would just make a new one every day.
Sure, sure.
But it's just a photo. And
Yeah.
she was very happy with it because it looked very neat, and I could erase,
Mm-hmm.
and I could there was no intermediary of like having to scan or anything. But
Yeah.
still, there's no. It's the whole point of digital archaeology is that everything has metadata attached, and therefore it can be data based and
Mm-hmm.
research.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know what to tell you.
Because for instance, I was just thinking about this when you were talking about getting GoPro.
Yeah.
What really enables GoPro to be fantastic is the fact that it imprints the gyro data it gets onto the digital file
Yeah.
and time codes it, and then decodes it after, and that's what smooths it out. Because before they were trying to do a gimbal sort of thing where they were stabilizing the sensor, but it's not fast enough and not powerful enough.
Right.
And therefore, if you get a GoPro Hero 5, which is now $100
Yeah.
on eBay, since it has the data on it, people have actually written programs like PC programs that will smooth it out even better than the GoPro algorithms.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It looks like gimbal stabilized footage, even though it's like super shaky to start out with. It's
Sure.
all through the power of the computer.
Nice.
And that's the interesting thing, is the fact that we're about to get slightly off topic again, but
We've been off topic for a little while.
I know. The thing is, the sensors, like on the camera, the sensors are this camera sensors, like the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Like the camera sensor itself is not better. It's the processing power, the algorithms behind it that have improved.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you were to take I bet they're even the same sensor chips that they were using since the iPhone 7.
Sure.
It's just the processing.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy about some of like DaVinci Resolve. I was using it, and that's what's really amazing is the power behind it. That's what was really made it impressive, because
Yeah.
not only was it faster, but it made my footage look better, even though it's the same camera.
Well, it's technical details like this that people need to understand when they're doing any business or
Yeah.
field. And it reminds me of
Yeah.
when the Nevada BLM came up with their new requirements for digital photographs. They had to be TIFF files and 12 megapixel camera minimum. And it's like, where did they get that information? Like, seriously, where did they get that information? And then
Yeah.
you had a whole bunch of people that didn't understand how to make a TIFF file, and they didn't have any point-and-shoot cameras that would shoot in TIFF.
No.
And so they were taking JPEGs and trying to just... I saw people just backspace, 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 and write .tiff after it.
Wait, seriously?
Yes. It's like, that's not going to work.
Wow.
And then obviously trying to convert from JPEG to TIFF, which also doesn't work.
No.
Because TIFF is an uncompressed format.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's-
JPEGs are a compression format.
They're a compression format. TIFF
Yeah.
is kind of compressed, but it's differently compressed, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's not as it's not, well, I mean, it's like not as compressed.
It's a different type.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't go from one to the other.
Yeah.
And but people, so many times people are just trying to make those determinations, and try to think about stuff. And then again, like you're talking about with these cameras, it's
Yeah.
it's about understanding your gear, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding everything.
Well, the thing is, every phone, like every iPhone since I think the 7,
Yeah.
and like almost every Android phone can now do the uncompressed raw photos.
Yeah.
And then you can just send it through and make it a TIFF.
You can do anything you want from a raw photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what raw means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Ha.
Yeah, Liza here is saying TIFF equals lossless, and yeah, that you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably why they wanted that format. That's what
Yeah.
somebody told them, but they didn't tell anybody how to get that format. You
Yeah.
know, people didn't realize they probably had to go buy new cameras because
Well, the
their,
thing is,
their Walmart point and shoots wouldn't do it.
because a point and shoot camera, digital camera that'll do raw, those aren't cheap. Like most of the companies we've worked for, like their camera budget was like $40, and you're not going to get a camera that can do a raw and then
All
convert
right.
it to
So we're talking about a whole different problem here too.
Yeah.
The budget for doing good work is not there.
Yeah.
It's just too low.
Yeah.
And companies shouldn't be in business if they can't afford to do business. You shouldn't do a project. You shouldn't bid on a project if you can't afford to do that project. We just had a discussion about wages on CRM.
Yeah.
The CRM podcast, which will be out January 29th or something like that.
Oh, that's coming up soon. That's next week.
No, it should be in a week and a half.
Well, you know.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had this discussion about wages, and like if you're running a company and you can't afford to pay people what they're worth.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this particularly on the CMR podcast, but it's making me think about it.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford to pay people what they're worth, then you shouldn't be running a project. You shouldn't be running that company.
And yet, every company I've ever worked for has almost that same mentality.
I also feel like along those same lines,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this right now and you're
Yeah.
a project manager or a principal investigator and you aren't actively seeking a digital solution to your field problems,
Yeah.
You're doing a disservice to the field. You're doing a disservice to your people and everything else. Because, to be honest, if you found the right digital service and you're doing it in the right way, you don't have to go out and buy $10,000 worth of iPads.
No.
Talk to a professional. Talk to me
Yeah.
and or anybody else that knows anything how to dig up digital archaeology, and find out how to do this affordably.
Yeah.
Because it can be done affordably these days. And if you're not doing it, first off, going digital and using the right devices could help you pay your employees even more.
Yeah.
Pay them what they're worth.
Well, the thing is,
upgrade the rest of your gear. Have a bigger camera budget.
Well, the thing is, you don't even need a tablet. Like, you can just
Oh, I know.
use your phone, but just don't equip it with a SIM card.
That's such a disconnect, though.
Yeah.
People look at digital archaeology right now and they think must have tablet, and a lot of people think must have iPad.
No.
And you can literally use anything you want as long as your software is compatible for it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, it's like you can even if you just want to do digital photos, like your phone, as long as it's USB-C enabled, as a USB-C output, it basically, you can just plug in your computer and just download the photos just like you used to with the digital camera, except you don't have to bother with the card anymore.
Right.
And how many companies waste time, like, making people download the cameras and, relabel everything and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to push WildNote, but WildNote will rename your photos for you.
Yes.
With a really great syntax. I mean,
well, the thing is, almost any program will rename your pictures for you.
Sure.
It's a very long story, but when I was doing the monitoring, they made us, like, the photos had to be under a certain size, and so I got a phone app to downsize it, and it would downsize it, and you could set the compression so that it would, like, keep like 80% of the quality and rename the photos.
Nice.
Well,
and here's a pro tip too, something a lot of people don't realize, but when you have a digital camera, and I'm not saying all of them do this, but I've seen it on a lot of them. But when you have a digital camera and you dig into the settings, that file that's created, that is, like, a lot of times it's underscore IMG or IMG underscore then a number.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can change that prefix.
Of course.
And you can change the number that it starts on. So if you want to start the number over for every single project, you can start the number over at 0001 and put the project number in the first part of it. You can name your photos right on the camera.
I know. Well, I mean, it'll not only that, but do you step up if companies would actually purchase weatherproof cameras?
Well,
companies that we work with who literally will just buy the $40 Vivitar from, like, Walmart.
Yeah.
And just give it to you. It's like, God damn.
Well, on the one hand, I understand what you're saying. On the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Because that's kind of where tablets are at right now. Like, you can buy a cheap Android-based tablet for $50 that'll be just fine for the field. It's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
But it was $50. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can buy another one next month.
True.
So if people want to not spend $1,000 on a camera and they just want to buy a $40 camera that meets their requirements, they can buy another one in a month.
Plus,
that's not the best business plan.
Plus, I was also just thinking, like, if people actually itemized how much they're paying to print out paperwork, and then how much they're actually, like, sending out, how much paperwork gets sent out, how much comes back and stuff, they'd probably find that it would be cheaper just to buy a $50 tablet every month.
Sure.
Yeah. I might be wrong.
By the way, we're down to 4 listeners, and I think one of them's me.
Oh, it's crazy because we, I can see that.
I know. That's fine. I don't care. We have fun doing this.
True.
I really wish people would comment more. So if you're listening to this on ArcPodNet on the Archaeology Show, head over to facebook.com/ArcPodNet, ARCHPODNET. Give us a like, and then change your notification preferences so you're notified when we go live.
Sure.
And then you can also do the same thing if you want to check it out on YouTube. If you check out Richie's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Happy Archaeology Fun Time.
Yeah, hit that little bell icon there, and then you'll get notified when Richie does new stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
although it's interesting because it's actually enabled by it's enabled by default, but what people want you to do is turn it to all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I sometimes click on the bell icon, it says personal, and I'm like, oh, that must be it, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the all.
Right. All right. Well, let's take one more break for the recorded version of this show, the episode 83 of the Archaeology Show.
Yeah.
And we will be back in just a second. Okay. Again, through the magic of editing,
Yeah.
You guys that are live are just hearing this, but nobody else is. So, again, if you want any extras, arcpodnet.com/members, and you can check all these out commercial free again. So,
Haha.
let's come on back in.
Yeah.
Welcome back to episode 83 of the Archaeology Show. This is the last segment of the unedited You Call This Archaeology that shows live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
Yeah.
So check all those out. All right, so what else we got, Richie?
There is one thing I want to talk about. One
Yeah.
more thing. I mean, I've got how I try to change a tire and stuff like that, but maybe they'll see it in the video come November. But the important part, I was thinking, because obviously the Trump administration, I just forget that dude's name. Barr? Barr?
Yeah.
The attorney general wants Apple to weaken the encryptions on the phone, but yet they're painting it like, oh, we just want Apple to unlock this one phone because this guy killed a lot of people.
Right.
But they can already do that. And I was just thinking, do you have anything to add to that? Because I feel like everyone's got these weird opinions, and yet you use Apple a lot.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the laws and regulations available, I mean, hackers can pretty much get into whatever you want, whatever you have, no matter what. So if Apple put in a backdoor that was only available for the U.S. government...
It's not going to be available just to them, though.
First off, hackers will find it.
Yes.
And they'll get in.
Yeah.
But then I kind of play to the law of averages, too, with all this stuff. And the chances of me getting hacked, the chances of you getting hacked, the chances of anybody getting hacked that's not, already famous... Because people want to hack into famous people's phones. If you're on somebody's radar, you might get hacked. But if you're just like a dude or a woman walking around with a phone, you're probably not going to be the subject of a hacker in any way, shape, or form.
Unless someone's trying to get into your Apple Pay or Google Pay account.
Well, again, you've got to be on their radar. They're not just going to find you at random, right? I mean, unless it's somebody they know or something like that, it's just it's unlikely to happen. So in the end, I honestly don't really care. Yeah. I don't really care what they do. I mean, anybody who really wants to get into my stuff can probably get into my stuff. And whether or not it's the government or whatever, if Apple makes a way for the government to get in order for national security or for some sort of legal issue, I guess I'm kind of okay with that. Because again, I don't think I have anything that is really something anybody cares about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Say, I watch a lot of YouTube, and the thing is that people are using those sorts of tricks to take over people's YouTube's account and then steal all their AdSense and crash the channel. So I can totally imagine a scenario where someone looks in your phone and sees all your APN login stuff for Adobe CC and stuff, and just
what, edits my podcast for me? I mean, what are they gonna do?
Well, try to take over the podcast network and try to monetize it crazy amounts. I mean, obviously you don't make a whole bunch of it.
Honestly, I don't think any of that would happen.
Yeah.
Again, if you're not on somebody's radar, I don't think it's going to happen. Now, of course, I'm speaking for myself, and you're right. There are people out there, a smaller percentage of people, that do have really hefty security concerns. But they're probably, hopefully, taking other precautionary measures against stuff like that, like changing your passwords often and, making sure you don't let too many people into your system that have access to it. And then, a lot of things that happen with Google. I was just cleaning up our Civil Air Patrol Google Drive a while back. And we have people that aren't even in the squadron anymore that were still shared on documents.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, we got to get rid of that. But it's really hard to manage because something like Google, I mean, you can share out individual files.
Yeah.
And have access that way, which we've done. Yeah. And it's hard to police that. You can't look at your entire drive at one point and say, who is shared with what? You got to go into those individual files. Yeah. Now again, if this is some old document we were using 2 years ago and somebody's gone now, sure, they have access. I don't care. That thing is gone now. But
my first Twitch viewer. Hello, Twitch viewer.
nice. And it's not one of us. So anyway, I just, again, I don't try to stress out over it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Oh God, I was going to mention something else, but it's interesting. Do you want to promote that boat channel you're watching? Because it sounded interesting to me, at least. Yeah.
So I've been. It actually does lead into another discussion too that I wanted to have in this last segment. The channel I've been following on YouTube is called Onboard Lifestyle. Huh, and one of the cool things about it is it's a family that decided to live on a sailboat. They lived on a sailboat before, the husband and wife.
Yeah.
The guy, actually, he grew up on sailing around the world with his father and his brothers and his mother.
Oh, what is it again?
Huh?
What is it again?
Onboard Lifestyle.
Ah.
Yeah. And so a while back, they had a sailboat a while back, and then they sold that, moved back to Washington State, had a kid, And then when the kid was like 2 or 3, her name is Emma. They bought this catamaran, and they decided to just go all in on this catamaran. And for like the next 7 years, they owned it for like 10, but for the next 7 years or so, they lived on it. They couldn't even take it out of the slip, like off the marina, because it didn't have rudders. The engines weren't turned on. He gutted this whole thing and basically rebuilt it for 3 years. And then they moved. He got it to the point where they could move on it.
Yeah.
They got rid of their house, moved into the catamaran, and
interesting. Is this them?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
and then the
this is going to show up at all, but it probably won't.
Anyway, so what I like about the channel though is it's a really well done example of good editing first off, and videos that are a good length. All of them are probably between 20 and 30 minutes. There might be some couple longer ones, and a couple shorter ones, but generally 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They release weekly, like clockwork. They have about 96 videos as of this recording.
And about 33,000 viewers, or subscribers.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And one of the reasons is the guy, if you want to learn something, and this is a good example for people to teach people well, but the guy is he's a self-taught, basically Finnish carpenter, and he's taught himself everything he knows about working on boats, too, because carpentry is one thing, but then working with fiberglass and what's called nitacore, which is what a lot of boats are made out of, that's a different thing entirely. And he's learned and self-taught himself a lot of things, but he explains things so well, and then takes this, you can tell that he's also very organized, because they shoot a lot of video, and I can tell that they have the video organized in a way that must use tags or something like that, because he will do a project, and I know he's saying, like, this project is going to take me 2 months to do, but he releases it in a 1-week video. So he must be shooting video throughout, and he's doing other projects throughout the time too. But once he finishes the project, he'll go back through that 2 months, take all that video, and put it into a single this week's video.
Oh, that's the other thing that's really
very
cool
organized.
About DaVinci Resolve is that in fact it lets you meta tag. It lets you add your own meta tags to footage. That way you can just look it up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I had to guess, this is how I would do things.
Yeah.
I would scrub through some video. I mean, you could take the raw files and tag them. You can tag stuff in Apple pretty easily.
Yeah.
As a file, but you can take, if you go into your actual video editing program, like you said, and tag segments, I would add a number of tags on there. And I can tell because I kind of binge watched most of their videos last week when I had some time where I was just working and I had it sitting next to me. And then on an airplane when I couldn't work because my seat wasn't configurable enough for me to open my laptop. Like the guy in front of me leans his seat back and I can't open my laptop. But I could have my laptop, my iPad out, and I was watching YouTube videos. And I watch them at 2x speed. Which I like because it doesn't speed up the voice, it just speeds up the video.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. So anyway, that was really great, and I kind of binged it, and I could tell sometimes, like, weeks and weeks later, like a dozen episodes later, they would use a small segment of footage that applied to this from before, which means he is tagging this stuff, and he's setting these things aside, and he's a very organized kind of guy.
Well, you have to be. That's like the one thing I learned about video editing in the
or just like in your life.
Yeah, well, that too, but also just like as someone who has been editing videos for about a bajillion years, it feels like you have to be organized, even if it's a pain at the beginning, because sometimes it's a pain to just scrub it all at the beginning and just like tag everything and organize everything in the folders, but that speeds up your editing so much.
Right.
Oh my god, it makes your life so much easier in the end.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll just, I understand now why when you're making a real movie, like a actual movie, why they actually employ separate editors. The directors don't do it themselves. By
the way, I shared this out to Archaeology History Jokes channel on it's called Archaeology/History Jokes and Puns, or GTFO, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I only did it because I was being a smartass, because the guy that runs that was posting a lot of his own stuff on there that had nothing to do with jokes and history.
Oh.
Chris Cameron. Anybody can look it up.
Yeah.
He was posting his own Medium posts on there like a couple months ago, and I was like, wait a minute, the rules clearly state that you're only supposed to post jokes.
Yeah. Oh, they get deleted?
Yeah, it did. And I'm like, oh, I guess we're back to square one now. We're back to normal on that page. Fucking people, man. I swear to God.
Oh, it's interesting. God, there was another Facebook group I was looking at, and the moderator had to remind people this is not a page for appraisals. We're not Antiques Roadshow. Yeah, you get that all the time. But it's interesting because I remember I mentioned this before, like on my personal one of my pages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, like the past several jobs I've gotten, like all of them, all the archaeology jobs I've gotten, have been all through either Instagram, which is really weird to me, Instagram or Facebook Messenger, stuff like that. And yet, how many people do we know who still act like it's 2017 and are so proud of themselves for deleting their social media and they feel so much freer? And it's just like, I mean, think about it. I bet 20, 30 years ago, people were saying the same thing about email. Oh, I'm gonna handwrite all my letters and send them out. I feel so much freer. It's just like, it's just another form of communication. And if you're not on it, like sometimes, like I feel like the reason I get it through social media is because that's the one place where people know how to get a hold of me. And if I didn't have the social media profile and I didn't still, post stuff about archaeology and what I'm doing in the field, then people wouldn't know as an archaeologist. They wouldn't like send stuff to me. So it's really important to like have a good online profile.
If you want to take yourself out of the conversation, then delete your social media profile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or be super negative. Like I know there was that person who, they're just certain people we won't mention, but who are like you get a look at them on their like Facebook post and like everything's always complaining.
Yeah.
And it's just like don't be that honest.
Right.
Put on a happy face.
Yeah.
Hey, at least make yourself look like you're fun to work with.
Yeah.
Because like we were just talking before the show started about all the people we worked with who they may not be the best archaeologists, but you'd rather have them on a crew than a really unpleasant but smart archaeologist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's I honestly don't know what to say.
Yeah.
There's so many things in that. Because we were talking about this before the recording.
Yeah.
The different types of people you have out there. I actually mentioned kind of along those same lines in the CRM Art podcast that we talked about wages. I mentioned that there's kind of three sorts of classes of people you can put people in on a project.
Yeah.
The people who are underperformers, you can tell that they're either inexperienced or just having a bad day. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Maybe they just suck at their job.
Or lazy.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons somebody could be underperforming. They might be having just a really bad family situation.
True.
Maybe somebody died. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're getting divorced.
This is like the one that's up now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is the one we just recorded. I was talking about this, yeah. But we did mention that in the episode that's live now, you're right.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of reasons why somebody could be underperforming. But the point is, you've got that type of person.
Yeah.
You've got your just average person who you probably can't even remember their name a month after the project is over, right? Because they're just like toeing the line, doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you need a certain number of those people on a crew. You have to get the work done.
Yeah.
And they're the ones getting the work done. And then you've got your superstars. Your people that just are either really good at their job or just really good naturally or done this for a long time, and they're the ones people go to ask questions.
Yeah.
Even if they're brand new on the project and they're not even running the show, people are going to go to this person to ask questions.
Or they're the first person you think of when you're trying to put a crew together.
Exactly. Well, there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about these types of people, generally I think they have the same sort of personality traits too.
Ah.
A lot of times your underperformers are going to be negative, or at least they're going to be perceived as underperformers because they're negative.
Yeah.
It's like the thing you're going to remember later on is that person spent their whole time complaining. Your average people are probably going to be just, they're always going to be just kind of there at the periphery of your vision.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I remember that person sitting there, but I don't remember them saying anything. Again, you need a certain number of those on a crew.
True.
And then your overachievers are probably going to be nicer people. They're probably going to be people that you want to get along with. That's not always the case necessarily. I've known plenty of good people in archaeology that had their crap down, but were also real big jerks.
That's true too.
I've probably been that person myself. I've probably been in all three of those categories. We all have.
Yeah.
Maybe we all haven't, but I've definitely worked with people and for people, and people worked for me that were way overachievers. I don't want to say overachievers, but they were way better than I was at a certain topic, because who's an expert in everything?
Well, a mutual friend of ours once said, in terms of like, he was describing me, he said, at worst, you're basically, at your very worst, you're basically only average, which I took to be like, a really good compliment.
Right. Yeah.
I
mean, I strive for mediocrity.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he was saying that, most of the time I'm not average. It's just when I'm at my worst.
Sure.
Because, he actually, I remember this, I was very appreciated. Because, it was like during a very rough time in my period in Reno. When, there's a lot of controversy around me for some, for like reasons that weren't necessarily my fault.
Sure.
But he held up a project for me just so that because he wanted me on the project, which is very,
nice.
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 Yeah. Because I was like off in Joshua Tree stewing after all the things that were going on here.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point is, this field has its ups and downs, and you pushed through that.
Yeah.
I started basically on a down. I mean, for my first 2 or 3 years. I mean, I actually look back on that time fondly because I had a lot of really great projects.
Yeah.
But I was a huge jerk. I came into this field with a lot of preconceived notions. I came right out of college, but I also came from college. I was in, business and industry, and I was in the Navy before that. So I was like 30 something, 35 almost when I got into this field, 33 or 34, something like that. I don't know what it was. So I didn't come straight out of college. I had experience other things, and I just had expectations, and I didn't realize what this field actually was and the type of people that are here, and really honestly how to deal with them. I didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
So I more than likely burned a few bridges early on.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I saw any people that I slighted and didn't even know it, or maybe I do know it, at a conference or something like that, I have no problem going up to them and saying hi.
That's
Let
true.
bygones be bygones. I don't hold a grudge with stuff like that. I never really have. I mean, if you piss me off, you're probably going to know it, but I'll pretty much let it go pretty quickly after that. And I think you need to in this field.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a thick skin like that because
You definitely do.
well, two things. One, there's so much turnover that the person you probably had a problem with is probably gone now and moved on to something else.
Or alternatively, the opposite problem where you can just keep seeing each other again. You have to learn to coexist.
You have to.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people are just persistent. You're going to see them all the time.
Yeah.
And you can't let that get on you.
Or
So-
they move up and suddenly they're the person you have to deal with for a certain thing that
Right.
you know.
Right.
I'm not going to start mentioning names.
I hear you. All right. Well, in the last few minutes of this, I got to mention something that I wrote down here because
Yeah.
my
Oh, hang on. Let me switch
my-
over then.
my wife and I we're very much considering in the next year or two
Yeah.
getting rid of our house
Yeah.
or at least renting our house and moving onto a boat. And that might sound luxurious to people, but
Yeah.
like you and I were talking earlier,
Yeah.
it's not. It's really just changing where you're sending your rent.
True.
If you're paying $1,500 a month in rent right now, or if you're paying $1,000 a month in rent right now,
Yeah.
you can actually afford to live on a boat. You just have to do it the right way.
Ah.
First off, as a veteran, I can't get a VA loan for a boat, so I have to take that into consideration. We have to
Yeah.
have a down payment this time. With our house, we didn't have a down payment.
Oh, keep talking. I just got to plug in.
Yeah, but yeah, I can see your battery icon back here. It's actually
know.
orange. Anyway, so assuming the live stream doesn't die before Richie gets plugged in. No, so when you're looking at a boat, like we're looking at this, like I just saw a boat online. There's a 40-foot Sea Ray
Yeah.
that is a liveaboard. Now it's small. You don't have a lot of space, but it's got 2 queen-sized beds in 2 staterooms, plus the galley. You can sleep there if you want. If you
So
want to have a bunch of
basically,
people over.
1 bedroom, 1 studio.
Almost essentially, yeah. But we would probably use like one of the areas as like storage for other things, and then
Oh.
sleep in the main berth. But
Well, that's what I meant. You
Yeah.
turn one into your podcasting studio.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's a boat that's ideally suited for that. It's called a Bayliner 4788. It's 48 feet long.
Ah.
47, 48, depending on how it's pointed. And
Yeah.
there's one smaller stateroom of the 3 that could easily be converted into a studio. So, but anyway, my point is that kind of stuff is not out of reach for people. And sure, we're talking about a boat, probably because
Yeah.
I'm getting out of field archaeology entirely.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do field archaeology anymore. I want to focus on public education and outreach and just really commit to that.
Oh my God, that's just the reason why I started ramping up my YouTube channel again
Yeah.
and getting I mean, part of it is just because this finding that DaVinci Resolve, the editing software, really jump-started my
Sure.
editing and therefore my interest. But anyway, you were saying?
Yeah. Well, my point with this is if you're going to be a field archaeologist, probably living on a boat is probably not the smartest plan for you to do.
Yeah, we've met
Because-
plenty of people who do.
We do, and maybe if you work in California, you could move it up and down the coast or something like that, or go out to it. But I think that goes hand in hand with living in an RV. And there's
Yes.
other considerations with living in an RV, of course. But I think when you look at the cost and then the savings that can be included
Yeah.
of doing it, I think when you start running the numbers, it's really, again, just a math problem.
I mean, it would be interesting because one of my friends, she bought a I think last fall, she bought an RV, and it comes with it's like the whole not an RV but a trailer, and it came with a fireplace, and she's got her dog.
Yeah.
And she's just driving around, and she paid cash for it. It wasn't
Nice.
like the size she bought, even though it looks really expensive. They're actually not that expensive.
Yeah.
And so if I ever run into her again, I'd probably ask her how it's working out for her because it was working out fine during the summer, but obviously I don't know what it's like to live in an RV in the winter or a trailer in the winter.
Well, it depends on, how prepared you are for it,
True.
So.
Oh,
Anyway, well, real quick, I wanted to mention before
Yeah.
we go a website, and I'll put this in the show notes, which will be up on January 25th.
Oh.
But the website is called rvmobileinternet.com. And that's the first, it's run by two people who were the first people I started following on YouTube as far as living on a boat goes.
Yeah.
Because they went from a van to an RV to a boat. Now they're back in their RV for the winter and their boat is in storage. And they'll go back to the boat and live on that for the fall, spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah.
Because they're moving their way up the East Coast and doing this great loop thing.
Yeah.
They're just doing it really slowly. But they live remotely. And I wanted to point out this this website again, rvmobileinternet.com, because they do a lot of research into remote ways to stay connected.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about this a couple of live streams ago.
Yeah, I was. I don't think I ever gave the website, though.
Oh.
But they, because I'm looking, AT&T, I'm starting to get super pissed at AT&T.
Oh,
like
really?
everywhere I go, they just have crap service, right?
Yes. And now they got the fake 5G.
And yes. But one of the things I'm looking at doing is if you're going to stay mobile, you almost need access to both AT&T and Verizon. And one of the ways you can do that is I was considering getting like a Verizon MiFi device, and then having that as my alternative when AT&T is not working. Yeah. Right, so we can stream off of that. But I also have a couple extra iPads that are cell enabled, but they don't have a cell service on them yet. Yeah. I have them from when I did a job a while back, and I think I have like 3 of them. And I was thinking about just getting a SIM card for one of those and making that Verizon, and that would do 2 things for me. One, that would allow me to tether to my other devices. Yeah. But also, it's still a usable device that will have internet.
You know what's interesting? A lot of Android devices, especially the ones that concentrate on the European and Asian market, they come with dual SIM card slots for just such an eventuality.
Yeah. Eliza says she has a boat option for next year. Hey, maybe we'll see you out there on the East Coast, Eliza.
Oh, and before we do get out of here, I did want to talk about scheduling. In terms so I think we're good for next week.
Next Sunday.
Yes.
We're going weekly now.
Well, I don't know.
Oh my, we'll see.
We'll see. But more importantly,
I think we are good for next week.
It's almost conference season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey, I've already been to a conference. What do you mean almost?
Yeah.
I was at the SHA in Boston last week.
Yeah. Interesting. So what's your next one?
Society for California Archaeology. You're going too.
Yeah, I just bought my tickets. So don't forget to buy your tickets if you want to get in. Some of the events are actually already sold out. So you should get your tickets soon. But they're halfway through the silent auction tickets, so buy those quickly. Yep. And I think the absolute deadline for buying online is like mid-February. Yeah. Which is really crazy because March is almost here because it's almost February. Like my sister is planning on one of my sisters is planning on visiting in mid-February, and I'm like, man, that's almost here. Right. That's like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I have 2 things I'm doing in March. The first weekend in March, I think it is. I'm going to Orlando, Florida for a podcast editors conference. Ooh. And which is pretty cool.
And, I look forward to all the hot, sweaty, pictures of you enjoying all the humidity.
Oh my God! At least it's March, but it's still gonna be bad. Maybe we'll just bail on it and go look at boats. Anyway, so I'm going to that. I can't remember what dates it is, but it's right before. It's the weekend before the SCA. So I get back from that on late Sunday night, and then Tuesday or Wednesday of that week, I can't remember what it is. I think Wednesday I fly down to Riverside, California.
Ooh, you're flying.
Yeah, I'm flying. I didn't have the time to drive. I wanted to, but it's such a hard thing to do because my wife needs the truck, and then she'd have to rent a car or something to get around for like the 5 days I'm going to be gone. So it's just easier to fly. Although for various reasons, she might be able to go with me now. Didn't think about that.
Because
anyway,
the Riverside Inn is actually the Mission Inn is a really nice venue.
Yeah, and it's the one thing I have coming up because I'm also going to the SAS in Austin. It's the one thing I have coming up that I don't have lodging secured for various reasons.
Oh, I totally forgot about lodging.
Yeah, I need lodging.
Crap.
So, anyway, I think we're going to go. Eliza, for your boat option, look up the Great Loop of the United States.
Wait, what's that?
Maybe we'll sail it together sometime in the next year. It basically takes about a year, but you start down in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. And then you go down through the Keys, and you come up the East Coast. You go up through the Great Lakes into Canada. You come back down through the middle of the United States using various river systems, not the Mississippi for various reasons, but you come down through those river systems, you end up back in the Gulf. And if you do it the right way, quote, it's supposed to take about a year.
Interesting, because I could have sworn I remembered a PBS series where someone did that.
Oh, people have been doing it for years. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised. Ooh. Yeah, that's what cool. This couple I follow, and their YouTube channel is called Technomadia. Like Tech Nomad Audio, Technomadia. Yeah. And check them out online on YouTube. They're pretty great.
Ooh.
And look at their Great Loop series.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing the Great Loop, but like I said, really slowly. They plan on taking like 6 years to do it.
Really?
Yeah, they just move up to like a slip in a marina and they hang out there for 2 or 3 months because they run this mobile internet site. So they're working full time on this mobile internet thing, but also living on a boat, living on an RV.
Cool.
And that's why they're very concerned about having a mobile internet lifestyle.
Oh my gosh, just like that Charles Kuralt show.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember? The old days, the Sunday morning thing?
Oh, yeah.
God,
So-
that's how I learned about Moxie. That's how I learned about
Oh,
Moxie.
God, Moxie's so gross. I got to end this with a Moxie taste in my mouth.
Yay, too late.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for the people on the live stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody that likes the Archaeology, the Facebook pages, and then all Richie's pages.
Yeah.
And then thanks, everybody that are listening on the Archaeology Podcast Network, on the Archaeology Show. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Now, hopefully this stops. Let's see.
We're just going to keep talking.